WWE's revival of Extreme Championship Wrestling as a third brand alongside Raw and SmackDown in the summer of 2006 is looked at as one of the biggest missed opportunities of all time. After the huge success of ECW One Night Stand in 2005, WWE decided to bring back the ECW brand on an ongoing basis the following summer, to air on SyFy on Tuesday nights. However, it became quickly apparent that this was not going to be like the ECW of old. And whilst there were some interesting ideas, there were some downright horrible ideas that went against a lot of what ECW used to stand for. WWE's version became a cheap imitation at its best, and a train wreck at its worst. Join me for an extremely interesting look at what if the 2006 ECW relaunch succeeded. Much like the last episode, I've set myself a few ground rules to keep things interesting. Mainly, I have to work with the roster available to me at the launch of the ECW show, starting the 1st of August 2006, and that I cannot change any of the results of ECW One Night Stand 2006. I'm going to give a month-by-month overview of how I would have booked things, starting August 1st 2006 and concluding at the end of the year. To keep things focused, ECW will present a number of Saturday night specials throughout the year to build towards. Heatwave will take place at the end of August, Anarchy Rules at the end of September, Cyberslam at the end of October, and November to remember at the end of, you guessed it, November. We will conclude everything at the new ECW's first pay-per-view event, December to Dismember, taking place on Christmas Eve. All of the aforementioned events will take place at the Hammerstein Ballroom. We start off building towards Heatwave, which sees Rob Van Dam crowned the new ECW champion, as well as the now reigning WWE champion after the events of One Night Stand. Much like his initial run, I would have Van Dam feud with both Edge and John Cena, with both Raw superstars trying to win back the WWE championship. Meanwhile, waiting in the wings is a deadly and focused Big Show, who wins a battle royal on the first episode to win the right to challenge the champion at Heatwave. In the lead up to the event, Big Show costs RVD the WWE Championship, with Edge coming out victorious over Van Dam and Cena. In the background of these events, however, is the rise of Wrestling Machine, Kurt Angle, reinvigorated by his recent move to the brand and his win over Randy Orton at One Night Stand. Angle goes on an absolute tear, defeating the likes of Justin Credible, Little Guido and Roadkill in the lead up to Heatwave. Angle decides to bring back the Kurt Angle Open Invitational, with the wrestling world excited to see who will step up to the seemingly unstoppable Olympic gold medalist. Meanwhile, in the mid-card division, a war of words between the heart and soul of ECW, Tommy Dreamer, and turncoat Mick Foley sees the return of Steven Richards, clad in his classic right to censor gear. The two men promise to clean up ECW, and Foley promises to be in Richards' corner throughout the tournament to crown a new ECW television champion. Steven advances to the finals by defeating Al Snow and Shannon Moore, whilst Dreamer advances to the finals with victories over Tony Mamaluke and Test. Dreamer announces on the Go Home show to Heatwave that he will have someone watching his back to combat the presence of Mick Foley. Heatwave takes place at the end of August and sees a night of tremendous action, with plenty of twists and turns. On the card, Steven Richards locks horns with Tommy Dreamer for the newly revived ECW Television Championship. The New York City crowd lose their minds as it's revealed that the Sandman will be Dreamer's cornerman, with Enter Sandman by Metallica ringing out at the Hammerstein Ballroom. However, their mood is soured as Richards manages to get the win over Dreamer when a debuting CM Punk aligns himself with the heels and drills Dreamer with Sandman's Singapore cane. Punk celebrates with Richards and Mick Foley, but the look on Dreamer's face says the war is not over. Meanwhile, Kurt Angle is surprised when Sabu answers the Open Invitational to a roaring ECW crowd. The match is a slugfest, with Sabu counteracting Angle's wrestling ability with sheer guts and determination. In the end, Angle locks in the ankle lock, and whilst Sabu refuses to tap out, Angle eventually wins due to Sabu passing out from the pain. In the main event, Rob Van Dam sees back the challenge of the monstrous Big Show, drilling him with both the Van Daminator and Van Terminator, before finishing him off with the 5-star Frog Splar for the win. However, after the match, Kurt Angle viciously assaults the champion, and he poses over a bloodied Rob Van Dam. The return to ECW of Mike Awesome. Whilst Awesome tragically passed away in February 2007, in this universe he is brought back to the new ECW with the theme of redeeming himself for his actions in 2000 by jumping ship to WCW. Awesome racks up quick victories against several local talent, with fans slowly warming to Awesome's Goldberg-like squash matches becoming a highlight of weekly TV. Meanwhile, the debuting CM Punk scores upset victories on back-to-back episodes of ECW against both Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman, with Foley and Richards praising Punk as everything the new ECW should represent. A six-man tag team street fight is announced for Anarchy Rules, and everyone is shocked with the hardcore icon Terry Funk is announced as Dreamer and Sandman's partner for the pay-per-view. Finally, Angle firmly has his sights set on Rob Van Dam, with the ECW title match announced for Anarchy Rules. In the lead-up to the event, Angle and Big Show score a victory over the team of Rob Van Dam and Sabu. Angle promises to end Rob Van Dam's title run at Anarchy Rules. Anarchy Rules takes place at the end of September, and features plenty of anarchy and violence. The show opens with an impromptu battle of the big men, as Mike Awesome takes on Test. The match is an absolute battle, a slugfest full of high spots, stiff moves and hard-hitting action. Awesome gets the win after a top rope Awesome bomb, much to the crowd's delight. After the match, Awesome bows to the audience, and the die-hard ECW faithful applaud his efforts and seemingly officially welcome him back to ECW with open arms. The six-man street fight is all the carnage you could come to expect, with a match featuring 5 ECW legends and a hot newcomer like CM Punk. The match sees Singapore canes, steel chairs, barbed wire and even Funk's classic branding iron used to inflict pain. In the end, however, it's the team of Richards, Foley and Punk who come out victorious after Punk drills Funk with the go-to-sleep for the pin. After the match is interesting, however, as Richards and Foley put the boots to Funk, CM Punk intervenes, telling the two that the damage has already been done. Richards and Foley pay heed, but it seems Punk's respect for the hardcore icon and the history of professional wrestling may be interfering with Richards and Foley's beliefs. The main event sees a clash between the old guard and new guard of ECW, with Rob Van Dam taking on Kurt Angle. After an exciting half-hour-plus battle, Kurt Angle finally manages to counter a 5-star frog splash into an ankle lock submission. Unlike Sabu, the pain becomes too much and Rob Van Dam taps out, much to the shock of the crowd as Kurt Angle is crowned the new ECW champion. In October, we build towards Cyber Slam, which is Paul Heyman's answer to WWE's Cyber Sunday event, where every match sees fans voting for opponents and stipulations. Heyman first announces that Kurt Angle will face either Rob Van Dam, Sabu or the Sandman at the event, whilst the two wrestlers not picked will go on to face one another in a number 1 contenders match as a runner-up prize. Whilst Kurt Angle takes on Super Crazy and a one-off appearance of Tajiri in back-to-back Angle Invitationals, the go-home show of ECW on SyFy sees Rob Van Dam, Sabu and the Sandman battle in a 3-way dance. Angle, however, ruins the match and takes out 3 men to close the show. Meanwhile, Steven Richards is forced to defend his television championship against Tommy Dreamer, in which the fans pick the stipulation, either a regular match, a submission match or a Stairway to Hell match, which was a ladder match where foes battled to capture barbed wire, which could be used as a weapon against their opponent. Both Mick Foley and newest member to their cause Matt Striker petitioned for fans to choose a regular match, whilst Dreamer begged fans to pick the classic ECW stipulation of a Stairway to Hell match. As the weeks wore on and Matt Striker continued to insult ECW fans and disparage the history of professional wrestling, CM Punk was seemingly growing tired of the loudmouth's opinion, and increasingly worried that Foley and Richards were agreeing. Finally, Mike Awesome set his sights on the Big Show, vowing to take out the largest wrestler on the ECW roster. Heyman announced that the two would do battle in either a tables match, after Big Show viciously put Awesome through the announcer's table, a street fight or a last man standing match. Big Show promised that Awesome would never be able to keep him down for a 10 count, whilst Awesome promised otherwise come Cyber Slam. The end of October saw Cyber Slam, with the fans having the ultimate control. The show opened with Mike Awesome overcoming all the odds, and managing to defeat Big Show in a brutal and tough last man standing match, knocking Big Show off the stage through several tables to get the ultimate revenge. Fans opted to choose Rob Van Dam to challenge Kurt Angle for the ECW Championship in a rematch of Anarchy Rules, which means Sabu and the Sandman did battle next to see who would be crowned number 1 contender. After an back and forth battle between the two ECW legends, Sabu emerged victorious, with Joey Styles and Taz remarking on commentary that Sabu still didn't tap out the last time he faced Kurt Angle back at Heatwave. The semi-main event saw a bloody and sadistic encounter between Steven Richards and Tommy Dreamer in a Stairway to Hell match, Dreamer obtained the barbed wire and sliced and diced Richards, who was a bloody mess. Mick Foley and Matt Striker's interference saw Terry Funk attempt to come to Dreamer's aid, but the distraction at ringside was all Richards need to capitalize on Dreamer, hitting a superkick for the victory. After the match, the Evil Trio attempted to brand Funk, but CM Punk had seen enough, coming to Funk's rescue and trying to reason with his teammates. However, Steven Richards shockingly blasted Punk from behind with the television championship, ejecting him from the group entirely. In the main event, Kurt Angle overcame the high-flying Rob Van Dam to retain his ECW championship in a fast-paced, action-packed encounter. As the show came to a close, Angle stared down his upcoming challenger Sabu, who was watching on at the entrance ramp. November rolled around and Paul Heyman wasted no time in announcing a huge main event for the November to Remember special. Kurt Angle would defend his ECW championship against Sabu in an I Quit match. For the first time since ECW returned, Angle seemed nervous and unsure. As the weeks passed, much was said about the toughness of Sabu and his refusal to quit, fans being reminded of Angle and Sabu's heatwave battle. As the event loomed, Angle's title run seemed to be in danger. Meanwhile, CM Punk vowed revenge on the trio of Richards, Striker and Foley. Though his attempt at attacking Richards fell short for a couple of weeks, Punk soon found backup in the form of Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman. In a passionate interview in the ring, Dreamer remarked that he sees the future of the thing he loves most, Extreme Championship Wrestling, in CM Punk, and said despite their differences, he would do everything in his power to ensure Punk upheld the legacy of ECW and pro wrestling in general, starting with taking Richards' ECW Television Championship. Heyman announced a tag team match for November to Remember, pitting CM Punk and Tommy Dreamer against Steven Richards and Matt Striker in a true fight to see who held the cards of the future of the brand in their hands. Finally, a special gauntlet for the gold was announced for the event, with the winner set to challenge the ECW champion at the new ECW's first pay-per-view event, December to Dismember on Christmas Eve. Participants were kept a secret, with Heyman promising a few surprises up his sleeve. November to Remember airs, and opens with the gauntlet for the gold. Surprises include ECW alumni Mikey Whipwreck, who loses to Test to start the match, and 911 who chokeslams Test to a thunderous ovation before being taken out by a big boot. Test is defeated by crowd favorite Mike Awesome, who then also goes on to defeat the final surprise, old rival Masato Tanaka. The two wage war reminiscent of their previous battles. The final entrant is a vengeful Big Show, but nothing on this night will stop Mike Awesome, who wins the gauntlet for the gold and punches his ticket to December to Dismember as the new #1 contender. The tag team showdown is next, with Richards and Striker using every dirty trick in the book to try and cheat to win. However, thanks to a timely assist from the Sandman who knocks Mick Foley cold with a Singapore cane shot, CM Punk hits Richards with the go to sleep for the win. Punk celebrates with the ECW legends afterwards, signaling that he is coming for the television championship. In the main event, Angle and Sabu wage war under I Quit rules. Angle is close to giving up on several occasions, especially when Sabu has him locked in the camel clutch with barbed wire wrapped around his face. However, Angle eventually gains the upper hand, locking in an Angle lock with a steel chain wrapped around the ankle for good measure. Angle twists and turns and Sabu screams in agony as it appears Angle has broken his ankle, and Sabu says the two devastating words, "I quit." Angle celebrates as the show goes off the air, but something awesome is in his future. The build for December to Dismember is relatively straightforward, with the seeds having been planted all throughout the summer and autumn. CM Punk challenges Steven Richards for the television championship, but is tricked into signing a contract where the Go to Sleep is banned. Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman look to settle the score with Matt Striker and Mick Foley in a Miracle on 4th Street fight, where the losing team must leave ECW. And Mike Awesome challenges Kurt Angle for the ECW championship. Either Awesome finally gains redemption and championship gold, or the Olympic gold medalist adds another ECW legend to his growing list of beaten opponents. A special, Extreme Rumble, is also booked to coincide with the long-term build-up on WWE's Royal Rumble in January, in which ECW hosts their own Royal Rumble rules match, with the winner gaining an ECW title shot in the future. This allows legends, main stars and newcomers alike to be displayed on pay-per-view. December to Dismember takes place on Christmas Eve in front of a sold-out Hammerstein ballroom with fans at a fever pitch after months of long-term storytelling. The event opens with the Extreme Rumble that sees ECW legends such as Tajiri, 911, Mikey Whipwreck and Masato Tanaka make one-night returns to the company with aspirations of joining the brand full-time, whereas mainstays of the roster such as Big Show, Test, Al Snow and others also enter the match. Finally, newcomers to the brand including veterans like William Regal and new signees Shelton Benjamin and Johnny Nitro also enter the match with championship aspirations. In the end, however, it's the shocking and surprising return of Raven who wins the match, with the roof almost blowing off the Hammerstein Ballroom. Next up, Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman triumphed over Turncoat Mick Foley and the young and arrogant Matt Striker, banishing both from ECW. The semi-main event saw CM Punk defeat Steven Richards and win the ECW Television Championship in a clinic of contest. Despite the go-to-sleep being banned, Punk defeated Richards first by locking in Terry Funk's finisher, the spinning toe hold, and as Richards tried to escape, transitioned to the Anaconda Vice to win his first gold in ECW. Finally, in an absolute war of a main event, Mike Awesome finally had his redemption and defeated Kurt Angle to win the ECW Championship. The crowd gave Awesome a standing ovation, who had overcome his harshest critics and the initial resentment of the fans to climb to the top of the ECW mountain, earning his place back on the roster and ready to lead ECW into 2007 and beyond. And there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of What If Professional Wrestling. I just want to say a huge thank you for all the support so far. The comments have been fantastic. Please do continue to like and comment, as it really helps out getting more eyeballs on this series. If you enjoyed and haven't already, please consider subscribing for more content, and once again, thank you so much for watching. Take care and I'll see you for episode 3.